There is something about passing down information. Mm-hmm. And you seem to have had this experience. What did that give, like, how did that help you with your queer identity? Like this brotherhood kind of thing, right? Because I'm always like the big brother, or I'm the little brother, depending on who I'm with.
There is this idea about what a younger and older person are and what can be perceived as. And I think that comes with a lot of weight. People don't want to be out to dinner with an older guy because the first thing you think is he's buying you dinner because he's your daddy.
Every little kid is taught that they shouldn't talk to strangers. I mean, do you talk to strangers? How do you know if a stranger is worth speaking to? Hey, kid, don't talk to strangers. Where's my daughter at? I'm gonna go get my daughter in here in a minute and tell her she's 3 weeks old, but she needs to know this.
Well, I feel like having social media in a rural area is like crazy important for a young person, like no matter who you are. And I could see how it like trickles into like everyone's obsession with themselves and their idea of how they should be portrayed in the world. Because from MySpace, where people took a lot of time to perfect their pages and their looks and the songs on the page, their top 8, you have Instagram where every photo is beautiful and edited and you only can showcase what you want to the world. I've gone through phases where I've cared a lot, and I've gone through phases where I didn't care a lot about like what I'm putting out there, or what's my brand? What am I doing? Like, what do I want to share? Like, I can't be honest 100% when it comes to like how I want to share like my feelings around like politics or people when I have like my boss and colleagues on my Facebook. It can't be me, because they are watching and I need my job.
Be authentic, have you.
Yeah, living your truth.
But live your best life.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of us are living our best life.
Just saying that is the fact that they're not, I feel like, for me.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's the
when I see people say that, it's...
When you're saying that too much, I'm like,
That's a hashtag, that's a brand, that's a look. And
like
that's,
blessed.
Yeah, and that's coming with something. And you know the reaction. It's like you're writing that like with a photo of you that you took and it was that angle and you took it 5 times and you have this, like this type of beard and it's a boomerang and it's like you know you're not living your best life because if you were, you would not be doing that shit. So I went to Hudson High School, obviously, and I was, relatively well-known and friendly, and my brothers were in high school with me, 2 years older, 2 years younger. My mom worked at the school district, so very like standard family in a school district in a city. And naturally I felt, popular. And I just felt like representation matters and that it's important to run even if you lose. And so I ran for homecoming king, I ran for prom king in junior year, and I ran for prom king in senior year. And by running, it's not really like you do anything, just like people like want to vote for you. It's not necessarily like I'm running a campaign or I'm telling everyone to vote for me. It's just I felt like I wanted to represent the school. I had a best friend at the time, his name was Tim, and I was gonna run again for prom king in senior year, and he brought it up in a class that he was gonna run for prom queen.
Hi, Jim. The boys tell me a few people have said mean things, and that obviously hurts, but most everyone else has been supportive, which they say is a great way to end their senior year.
A whole week went by until the Register Star wanted to contact us to be like this is a story, and we're like, it's a week later, you're a little late. and they wanted to do a story, so we were, going crazy because like our local paper wants to do a story on us, and we never have really gotten any media attention. I came out in 8th grade, so...
Meet the 2010 Hudson High School prom king, Charlie Ferrusi.
Yes, I am the prom queen.
And his prom queen and best friend, Timmy Howard. Both are gay, and both couldn't believe it when they heard their names announced at the dance Saturday night.
And then I went to work the day after, and everyone came to my job at Lick, and there was just all the camera crews outside of Lick, and I, took off, and my mom came by and did a little snippet for me, and Trixie did a snippet for me in one of the videos, and so Trixie was a part of it, and Victor Mandoli did a thing as well.
We're all equal, and I've always told my son since he was little, do what you believe. It's all in your heart. You are who you are. Prove yourself, and he has done that.
The fact that I'm open led me to be positive about my life, because learning and knowing from others shapes your experience and how you navigate with everyone else. Like, you're carrying everyone else's stories. Like, learning about the AIDS epidemic and how people came together, like, from various different areas, and LGBT movement as well. I just feel like there has to be optimism and positivity there, and an openness to connect in order to have a community that wins. An opinion is something that you believe based on everything you've gathered through your life. A feeling is an internal sense of something that drives you to react or to respond. So, some things, I believe there is a truth to it that like, no one else can take it away. Like, that this is 100% it, no matter what. And it's nothing for me it's gonna make me think otherwise. This is so fun.
I'm sorry.
I'm just like, what the fuck?
Okay, so it's like this.
No, this is good. Okay. It's good. No, I like it. Like, we know clear, like, facts, and then people aren't even letting us find out more facts because it's against their view. It's like the obstruction of facts. Like, gender is a spectrum. Like, gender has always been a spectrum. Like, there haven't always been words for all the things we talk about today. And I think when people just don't know, they will read or watch the news, and that will influence their opinion and make them think that's fact. And I think when we don't allow ourselves to, like, be surrounded by different people, you're never gonna learn. Because I've only learned by being with people. I'm not gonna read a textbook about people being trans and be like, now I believe people are trans. I'm gonna be like, I know someone trans.
Women's products and whatnot, like, what are you gonna do to survive in the long run? I mean, do you do this on the weekends, or is this an everyday event for you? Like, you sit up and get on the train every day, like, what do people think about me one day? And then you cut all your off, put your extensions back in, and go back to work. Like, who are you really under all that makeup?
But I feel like they feel safe to share their hate. Folks do, and I think it's always been that way.
Put the camera down, mother. Put the camera down, mother. I'm gonna knock that goddamn. What? What the fuck?
Like, we have to affirm and support and make folks safer, more, like, double the amount we've tried in the past, because they're increasingly less safe now because people are allowed to speak and be hateful.
The fear is real in New Orleans for trans women like Amani Dupree.
I've been fighting, but not like this before.
Last month, Dupree's close friend China Gibson and Sierra McIlveen were murdered within days of each other. A week earlier, Jaquarius Holland was killed in another Louisiana town. All of the victims, trans women of color.
What scares me the most is that people will feel like they can get away with these things and nothing will be done about it.
They're validated by a lot of folks in power. So why not feel like your opinion is moving towards fact now, is real, is 100%. If you have everyone up there saying, yes, what you believe is true, and I share that.
Why don't you shut your face? And I voted for Trump, so there. What, you want to kick me out because of that? And look who won, and look who won, and look who won.
I do not know a ton of folks like that who voted for Trump, who live a life or led up to that point that allowed them to feel like that was okay. I don't know people like that. I'm fine with that, I'm at peace with that. I really don't need that. I don't need that to win. I can win without it. And I don't want to have to give up anything. I hate when we run politicians that are in the middle of the road because we think that's only way we can win, is that we have to be like, let's be in the middle. And I'm like, I'm not giving up any part of myself to win, because I know we can win without it. There's no reason to like, get to the end and, like, something gets passed, a law gets passed, and it's half of what I wanted.
Right.
I still have to get the other half, and I have to go through it all over again.
I'm at the Capitol Mall, where the Names Project AIDS quilt is to be unveiled. Each panel of this huge 2-city block quilt bears the name of someone who has died of AIDS. As the panel is unfolded, the names will be read aloud. There are over 2,000 names on this quilt here today. And what a graphic and loving tribute to our family.
And it's just like, sometimes there's a strategy involved and that does work, But a lot of times we sell ourselves short, and I know that we can win if we are like there's more strategy, and we're stronger, and we actually like amplify the progressive voice and not push it down to make others feel welcomed in.
Gary Barnhill, David Calgaro, Bobby Campbell.
If you guys have anyone on your social media like I do that's over the age of 40, you've probably seen them post at some point about how much our generation sucks. Well, as a millennial, I took it upon myself to try to evaluate what's so wrong with our generation and why they're so mad at us. And then I pretty much realized that we're just existing. We're not really contributing anything to society.
And I don't think we should be blamed that technology is just the way it is now, like just because. And I think like the idea, like my mom uses Facebook more than I do. So it's like, if the exact generation my mom's in was here now, they'd be navigating social media and school the same exact way. The amount of pressure it was like go to college, get a 4-year degree, and like or else you're like no one.
We spend more time online making friends and less time actually building relationships. And our relationships appearance on Facebook is more valuable than the foundation that it's actually built on.
And whether or not people want to use social media to become an Instagram model, or they want to use it to become, a political figure, something more. Either way, you can influence.
Our idea of standing up for something we believe in means going on Facebook and posting a status with your opinion. And we believe the number of followers we have reflects who we are as a person.
Young people are influencing people, and they're influencing products and brands and ideas and movements and politicians, and they're getting the space to talk in interviews and be respected, as we should respect young people.
Nothing has value in our generation because we take advantage of everything. We have more opportunities to succeed than any of those before us, yet we don't appreciate the opportunities we have now. Now I guess I see why people call us Generation Y. Like, why are we so entitled? Because we don't deserve to be, and we were raised better than this.
I mean, I know so many older people that like tokenize me, and like it's so frustrating. As if I have all the answers about young people. Why don't young people get involved or something? It's like
but young people
all this
are
stuff,
involved.
and that's the idea. Is like just because they're not at your committee meeting that no one wants to go to, or that you're not creating a space for us, we're not going to show up. Right. We're going to create our own, and you're not coming.
To all of our elders, I'm sorry. And I do know that we were raised better. Thank you from this millennial for putting up with those and those who do not see wrong in their actions. I hope we start pulling our pants up and actually contributing to the society we love. And maybe make a difference in 2016 so that we can make a difference in the future.
I've been told by, this actually happens, like Trixie Star goes to Lil Debs and sees it's a queer party happening every month that someone is forming, and it's like that affirmation of being like, this is awesome and you can do this and I will support you is so important for that young person to be like, someone I think highly of is believing in me to do this. And I think that's what's important, is like we don't see that. Like we don't see that support or that like, you can do this and I will support you, but I don't need to be telling you what to do. I don't need to be at the front of this. I don't need to be even next to you. I could just give you the skills and the resources you need to be successful. And I think we don't see that exchange. We don't see those relationships. And I think that's the idea, is like building relationships across generations just doesn't happen so intentionally and well anymore. And I think like that build is so important to sharing stories and appreciating that the young person has just as much to offer as the older person does. And without both, both need to learn.
New details tonight about the police shooting death of a Sacramento man over the weekend. Police confirm they fired at Stephen Clark 20 times.
This 22-year-old young father should still be alive, you know that!
Freedom is a chance to thrive and live equally and have the same chance as someone else to be who you are, or to thrive in a profession, or to live a life, or to have a family. So to be given that chance to have the same opportunity that everyone else is granted.
Show me your hands, gun! Show me your hands, gun! 5-7, shots fired, 7 down.
like clearly this country is racist, like systemically in every area of the justice system and employment and housing and like discrimination and like murders. It's like every single place. And like, why aren't we doing more to like combat that racism that exists daily for so many people?
Tonight, a family outraged after a Minnesota jury acquitted the officer who fatally shot Philando Castile moments before this infamous video was live streamed on Facebook by his girlfriend.
I don't know why there is not more outrage around certain things, and I do not know why people don't care more about a cause over another, and when it becomes safe and comfortable for them to be involved. And I don't know where that is in someone.
Castile's family says he was racially profiled.
The system continues to fail black people.
At trial, defense attorneys argued Yanez fired because he thought Castile was reaching for his gun. Tonight, Castile's family says they've been denied justice.
My son loved this city, and this city killed my son.
Your silence does nothing. Your inability to engage does nothing. If like how, like what extent are you just contributing to America as it is today, which is extremely racist and doesn't give anyone, it doesn't give black folks the opportunity to really win and survive and thrive. Nothing's in place for that to happen. This country's not designed to let them thrive.
Their descendants, the descendants of those slaves, have much better lives here than the descendants of people who would have never gotten on those slave boats in Africa. And that's a provable fact, because we have given them all those freedoms.
It's just like, what the fuck? And it's just like, it drives me so nuts because it's people not understanding that like for so long we've been here and folks have been here, and like the feeling of losing is something, but if you never had it, like it's so much worse to like never have any of it. And like that's my framework. Yeah, like when I hire people for my project up here, always go straight towards trans folks, people of color who've just not been given the opportunity to like speak, to present, to give lectures, and to really like share that like their expertise with the world. And like I always try to like prioritize the voices of those who it's not even a thought in most people's minds. So the Link Project, I got a grant from the Ellen John AIDS Foundation and Gilead Sciences, Big Pharma, and Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS to do intergenerational work in the Hudson Valley. So LGBTQ folks, people living with HIV and AIDS are like focus areas of the people we're trying to bring together from across generations. So it takes the form of like different events, whether that's like a teach-in or a lecture or a book reading or dinner or drag shows or brunch. And it's just basically forming events in the Hudson Valley that allow people to come together and to be together and to just form new relationships. So I'm just creating spaces for people to come together, basically. So I think that's the best way that people can do good work, is to financially support what you believe in. And that means like intentionally supporting like Black-owned restaurants or queer-owned spaces or artists or and it's really easy. For me, it's seeing a world that I really don't want to see and doing everything in your power to obstruct and fuck everything up. Like basically looking at the world. This is not what you thought could ever happen. A world that should just not be, and doing everything you can in your power to organize and to push back and to change it as fast as possible. Like an uprising. Completely pushing it off. Do not let anyone else stop you from giving your 100% to the world, whether or not you think that's socially acceptable or what people are going to love about you. Don't hold yourself back, because I've found that like in so many places I didn't go all the way, and I regretted it, because if I did, I would have achieved so much more. But I was too worried about what other people were thinking. And I left some of myself at the door, and I went towards something without my full self. And I think ultimately whether or not I failed in that or didn't do it as well, it was all because I didn't come like 100%. And I think people now are just too careful. We care too much about what the people think. We care too much about what the, and I think for some, you gauge your own sense of safety, what you can really do. I'm not saying like, go ahead and like give up everything but like gauge the amount that you can bring with you every time, and take into consideration your safety, obviously, you know, what's happening in that space, what you have to lose, but give everything you can when considering those things. And I think I've sat and thought too much about everyone else in that process, and I lost too much of myself. And by the time I got there, I was too worried. I was too afraid of what could be, what people would think, whether I was too angry or too aggressive, or and I didn't. My point, you know, it didn't land, or I didn't win, or we didn't succeed, and I think we have to want 100%. If we end up with 50, that's okay. But if you go in wanting 75%, you're gonna end up with like 35. You're still not even. There's always going to be a pushback,